Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Monday Morning Tennis Rant. Last year, I became very interested in this player from Brazil named Fonseca. There are a lot of great young players, so it's hard to see into the future. You don't know what's going to happen to the player because despite youngsters being very talented, there's no guarantee that they're going to succeed and make it to the very top of the game. But towards the end of last year, I saw Fonseca win the next gen finals very comfortably. And I thought, okay, he's developing very nicely. But then in the beginning of 2025, when I saw the way Fonseca dominated in the challenger in Canberra, I became very sure that this guy is the real deal. He then confirmed that by going easily through the qualies at the Australian Open, then beating Rublev in the first round of the Australian Open. Early this year, I made 3 videos of Fonseca on the forehand, the backhand, and the serve. And I proclaimed in this video that the quality of his technique on the forehand and the backhand is on par with players like Djokovic, Sinner, and Alcaraz. Now, as I said in those videos, I'm by no means saying that Fonseca is at the level of those 3 players, but he surely has the potential to be at that level. And the combination of quality between the forehand and the backhand is on par with Sinner and Djokovic, who, in my opinion, have the best forehand backhand combo in the history of tennis. Now, I was very interested to see how Fonseca was going to perform in the 250 clay court tournament in Buenos Aires. And my friend Felipe, who you might know from the 10-day tennis transformation, he was there in person. And he was very excited to see Fonseca play. The entire country of Brazil is very excited about Fonseca. Now, Fonseca ended up winning this tournament, and I'm going to take you through some of the most important matches that he won. But what I found most impressive this week was not the quality of his forehand, his backhand, or even his serve. What impressed me the most this time was the mental strength of Fonseca, because apart from the first round and the final, Fonseca didn't play his best tennis. So in the first round, he beat Etcheverry quite comfortably. But then in the second round, he lost a set to Coria in the quarterfinals against Navona, who is a phenomenal clay court player who took out Rune a round prior. Navona also played a great match against Nadal and Bastad in 2024. Navona had 2 match points in the third set against Fonseca. He was up 5-3. Fonseca was serving, and it was 15-40 on Fonseca's serve. And Fonseca saved the first match point, and then the second match point, he kicked the serve in and hit the cleanest, most solid backhand down the line. There was no sign of nerves or shakiness. He then proceeded to win that third set 7-5. In the semifinals against Laszlo Djere, who is a very good clay court player, Fonseca was up a set and 5-3. He then proceeded to lose 4 games in a row, which is tough to handle. When you're up a set in a break and you're serving for the match, you end up losing, especially when you're 18 years old like Fonseca. That's something that's hard to stomach. But what impressed me in this match was that Fonseca found some of his best tennis in the entire week in that third set, which he won 6-1. So the mental strength that Fonseca displayed in the quarterfinal match and in the semifinal match against 2 quality clay court opponents impressed me even more than some of the results that he had earlier this year. And it is a great sign for the future. This kid is the real deal. In the final, he played a very tough Cerundolo. And even here, Fonseca displayed incredible mental strength. He was playing well in this match. He was up a set and a break and was serving for the match at 5-4. He played a shaky game, lost his serve. Then, Djokovic style, he broke right back, playing phenomenal tennis, only then to lose his serve again, serving for the match a second time. And what does Fonseca do in the tiebreak? You would think that reaching his first semifinal, and this was his first final, of course, that he would get nervous. No, Fonseca played a rock solid tiebreak in that second set that he won 7-1. So this was a huge mental effort from Fonseca, and I'm incredibly impressed because not only did he play clutch when it mattered the most, he didn't play his best tennis and he found a way to win, but also he was playing in Argentina. And what my Brazilian friends are telling me is that the sporting events between Argentina and Brazil are not friendly by any means. And Fonseca played 4 players from Argentina. He played Echeverry, he played Coria, he played Navone, and he played Cerundolo in the final where the crowd was against him. So that adds another layer to his mental strength. Another thing that impressed me is that for the first time I saw Fonseca serve and volley. This is a great tactic on clay courts. A lot of people wouldn't think that serve and volleying would be something that's effective on clay, but it definitely is. And Fonseca was utilizing a lot of serve and volleying quite well. The one aspect of his game where he still can improve quite a bit is his feel, his drop shots. But the forehand and the backhand, like I already said, are absolute elite level. And the serve is quite good. It's getting better as I'm continuing to watch Fonseca play. And I highly recommend that you watch my 3 videos where I analyze the Fonseca forehand, serve, and backhand in great detail. Now, looking ahead to next week, I think this is the most important week of Fonseca's year, which is the 500 tournament in Rio, and let's see how he's going to perform there. There's going to be a lot of pressure, but I think he can handle it. A couple more shout outs to Serbian players that did phenomenally well this week. Jera was in the semifinals in Buenos Aires. Kecmanovic won the tournament in Delray Beach, a 250 hardcourt event. And one of my favorite players right now, Medjedovic, was in the final of Marseille, where he lost to Hugo Humbert, who's a phenomenal player. Unorthodox serving positions. I talked about him during the Paris tournament and analyzed his serve. I recommend that you check that video out. But Serbian players are doing well in the absence of Djokovic, who is going to be back on tour in Doha. But there's something about Medjedovic that reminds me a little bit of the old school power players like Becker, for example. Of course, he doesn't serve in volley, but he's such a strong guy. He hits the ball so hard. I have a feeling that he has a chance to go way up in the rankings in 2025, possibly into the top 20. Shout out to Amanda Anisimova, who won the tournament in Doha, a WTA 1000 event where she beat Ostapenko in straight sets, and Ostapenko beat Iga Swiatek again in the semifinals. Now she is 5-0 against Iga, and some people have asked me why Ostapenko does so well against Iga. I'm possibly going to make a video on it. I actually don't have the answer right now. I would have to do some match analysis, but it's surely a super interesting head-to-head matchup that is dominated by Ostapenko. But Anisimova won this huge title. She is now in the top 20 of the WTA rankings, which means that now there are 6 American women in the top 20. Anisimova is 18, Collins is 12, Navarro is 9, Madison Keys is 6, Pegula is 5, and Coco Gauff is number 3 in the world. This is great for American tennis, and is especially great for Amanda Anisimova, who had some struggles in the past, and it's good to see her back playing her best tennis. I'm going to finish this rant off by talking about Sinner, who has dominated tennis news over the last few days. There are a lot of people who are upset, including former players, including current players. And I want to clarify something that I said in my video, which got a lot of comments. I think right now there are 700 comments or so on that video. And I do appreciate you guys voicing your opinion on the matter. It doesn't matter that you don't happen to agree with me, but I want to clarify something that I said that was not factual. And in that video from a couple of days ago, I was questioning the timing of the suspension, and I called it convenient. But understand that when I made that video, I familiarized myself with the WADA decision on the suspension, and I wasn't aware that Sinner was actually in Doha that he was going to play. Some of you guys pointed this out in the comments section, and I read a lot on the matter. And now it makes a lot more sense to me why the suspension is taking place conveniently between now and the tournament in Rome. And the fact is that it had to be convenient for Yannick to accept it because WADA had a very weak case that they were probably going to lose. There was a high possibility that CAS would have cleared Sinner, which would have made WADA look bad. Now, a lot of you guys are probably thinking, if the case for Sinner was so clear, why did he accept the offer? Why not just clear his name? Well, there is still a chance that he would have gotten banned for at least 1 year. And Sinner probably didn't want to risk it. Sinner probably wanted this to be over with, and he had just accepted the offer. And I want to talk about one more thing, and that is to all the people that are calling Sinner a doper and all the people that are saying that tennis is not a clean sport, and that is not true. Players are being tested non-stop. Players are being caught, and this includes famous players as well. Sinner, Halep, Sharapova, Swiatek. If this sport indeed was dirty, then these cases would have been hidden, and that is clearly not the case. So there's a system in place, a very strict system, and players are being tested. Now, I repeated ad nauseum that I believe that Sinner is innocent. It was his team's fault that he tested positive, and he's now paying the price for his team. Some people argued that he shouldn't be suspended at all, and you could make that argument. It was also proven that the amount of substance in the system didn't enhance his performance. So you cannot call Sinner a doper. But let me just play devil's advocate, and let's just say that Sinner was doping. And let's say that Sinner went on an absolute roid rage in that tournament in Miami where he destroyed everyone. And a lot of people believe that it is at the tournament in Miami where Sinner turned up the heat and started dominating the tour. But that is 100% not the case. I follow tennis very closely. And one of the things that I look for is when players catch fire. I talked about Fonseca catching fire at the next gen finals and then continuing to play well in those tournaments that followed. In the case of Sinner, he caught fire in 2023 at Davis Cup, where he absolutely destroyed everyone after escaping a tough match versus Djokovic. It is after that match versus Djokovic where Sinner saved 3 match points, where he started destroying everyone on hard court. Remember, after that Davis Cup victory, he won Australia. He then went to Rotterdam and won that tournament as well. It is then when he accidentally got the substance in his system at Indian Wells. So it is 100% inaccurate that Sinner caught fire at the tournament in Miami. Also, I find it very disrespectful to professional players when people say that they are good because they're doping or that you can't play tennis like that without doping. These players invest their whole lives into tennis. They are incredibly professional, and they also happen to be very talented. Yes, it is possible to play at the level that Sinner is playing at cleanly without substances. So all the people that are calling Jannik Sinner a doper, you are actually making tennis look bad. I talked about this prior to the tournament in Brisbane. When you are casting a shadow of doubt on this situation, you are making tennis look bad. You're making it seem as if there was a big doping problem at the very top of the game. And there is clearly no evidence to suggest that that is true. It is 100% true that Sinner testing positive is not a good look for tennis. I agree 100%. But after we were familiarized with the details of this case, to then say that Sinner is a doper and a juicer, that, in my opinion, makes tennis look bad. We should call it as it is, an accidental contamination that didn't enhance his performance. And I truly hope that we don't have to talk about this subject anymore and that we can focus on tennis.